We got a super thanks to get going on today's video from Danny Whitney. I honestly did not like Marshawn Kneeland's pass rush. I don't know if that's a typo or weird text, but I know what you meant, Danny. Saw him overcommit and get outran early in the game. I think there was like one kind of middling rep there from Kneeland, but I thought overall he got some push. I think that's going to be his main thing. So I don't know how much he's going to play in the preseason overall. Maybe you see more in week 2, but I think for expectations, probably met him. From Tyson Cates, thanks for providing great up-to-date Cowboys news seemingly anytime news breaks. I get a lot of news packed into a short time frame. Again, thanks. I can't really do a better sub-read than that one, Tyson, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And if you agree with Tyson, or if you think that that is something that you would like to have on your YouTube feed, hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. When Cowboys news happens, we have you covered. Do I like that they break news at 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 a.m. Eastern? No! I wish they would be a normal team and do stuff in normal business hours so that we can have the graphics on screen for a breaking news signing. But when it happens, we'll break it down for you. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Curtis David says Trey Lance to the Vikings. Again, we kind of discussed this on our news and rumor show the other day. Look, I don't really think it's all that likely. I would be surprised if a trade actually went down, because it takes two parties to make a trade. And I know there are many Cowboys fans out there who are like, sure, yeah, let's go ahead and move on and trade Trey Lance. I don't want him here anymore. Well, if that's the case, and I get it, because he didn't look very good in the first preseason game. It's fine. Okay. The follow-up I have here is, well, then why would a different team want him? Why is another team going to trade for the guy that you don't want anymore? Now, maybe you're a good GM and you can convince him, okay, or maybe he looks good in week 2 or week 3 and it starts to make more sense there. But then if he looks better, do you actually want to trade him? So, like, I would be cautious to be like, yeah, it's easy to do. I don't know if there's a lot of interest in Trey Lance right now. You won the bidding war the first time. So we'll see. So what's your opinions on what you want to do here? Do you want to trade Trey Lance? Y for yes, N for no at the pinned comment of today's show. Y or N? Skeptical fan, I think we still need one more defensive tackle. I wouldn't mind one more 3 technique. That defensive tackle depth chart, I think it's fine at run stopper, right? You have now Jordan Phillips. You have Mozzie Smith. You have Justin Rogers. Maybe not even in that order, by the way. So I think you're fine at 3 at 1 technique, that nose guard. 3 technique, it's Oso Digizua, and sounds like they're playing Chauncey Golston more on the outside. Like, I don't like that grouping necessarily. So you're an injury away from Osa from being in really bad shape up front. Fan also wants to know if I missed the injury updates. Seems like it's mostly positive. Brandon Cooks, minor knee soreness. Donovan Wilson banged his knee. He's fine. Earl Bostic needs surgery. That one came out earlier on Thursday. Damone Clark, minor knee issue. He's fine, it sounds like, for like an actual game if Daddy plays his preseason. DeMarvion Overshone, a little bit nicked up with a hip pointer, but he should be fine there as well. From Barry Robbins, would you trade for Robert Woods? I don't think I need to go get a veteran wide receiver right now as long as my guys stay healthy. CeeDee Lamb is going to be here for week 1. He's obviously a superstar. I like what you have so far in Brandon Cooks as long as he stays healthy. Jalen Tolbert's flashed. Jalen Brooks has flashed. Kevontae Turpin has a role. And if anything, I might consider, like, okay, how do I get my other receivers on this rush? Like, do I find room for Jalen Cropper? Does Ryan Flournoy impress in these final couple preseason games? Does Tyron Dilly-Johnson earn a role? I don't think you need to add a veteran wide receiver unless something happens. And if something happens, okay, we can revisit that whole conversation. But I think right now you're in a pretty good spot with your wide receiver depth in your youth. All right, so name a player. Keep it realistic. Don't put Patrick Mahomes in there. That's not feasible. Name a player who you want to trade for. From Eddie Joe, have you checked out New York Jets backup defensive tackle Leonard Taylor? Worth a look in a conversation. What would it cost? Probably not too much. Leonard Taylor was an undrafted free agent out of this year's class. And it was not so much a pure talent perspective with Leonard Taylor. He was a 5-star recruit for the Miami Hurricanes. The problem was he never lived up to expectations. And for whatever reason, I think there were some coachability things that helped lead to him falling undrafted there. If Taylor looks good in the preseason, which he did look good in week 1, if that continues, I don't think the Jets make him available. Because then it's Quinn Williams, Javon Kinlaw, Solomon Thomas. I think they'd probably make room for Leonard Taylor. So, and Dallas could have gone after him in the undrafted free agent cycle too, and I don't know if they really did there. So it's a good name, but I'm not sure there's going to be a ton of feasibility and interest there. From Brian Perry, will the Cowboys sign Dak this season? I don't know. And I know that, they tell you got to have answers to every question on Sports Talk. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. I don't know what they're going to do. My gut tells me no, because they've kind of set themselves up for failure in this whole situation 3-4 years ago when they did the deal the first time around. So I have my doubts that they get that deal done. We'll see. Daniel M. I love the Jordan Phillips and Carl Loss pickups for the defense. Adds much needed depth in those spots. Now we need Khalil Herbert and from the Bears and David Bakhtiari in free agency. Love the idea of Herbert. Roschon Johnson's been a bit nicked up. That might make it a little bit less likely, but I would love to add him. I think he could be your lead back in a committee, lead committee back. As for Bakhtiari, if he wants to come be a backup, I am down. But that would be a tone change from David Bakhtiari. He told Adam Schefter he didn't want to be that guy. He wanted to be the guy for a team. Well, I'm not benching Tyler Guyton. I want him to play. So if Bakhtiari wants to come be a backup, cool, let's ride. But I don't know if that's what he wants to do. Now, you guys can get your own Cowboys turnover chain by going to chatsports.com/Cowboys chain. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. It is chatsports.com/Cowboys chain. Do make note, it is the navy chain as opposed to the silver chain, but it's potato as far as I'm concerned. It is on sale, by the way, as of filming this, so you can get it for about 25% off. Chatsports.com/Cowboys chain. From Dallas, record thoughts. I say 11-6 and win the division. That's probably on the more positive outcome spectrum. I think 10 wins and finish second in the division. And look, there's a chance Philadelphia falls apart. Because most teams aren't replacing both coordinators in the same season because they fired them and then go on to win the division. That's normally a bad sign. So they got a chance to, but there's also the NFC curse that exists out there. I think they got worse overall this year, and that raises concerns for me. From Robert Vasquez, I think one more true 3 technique behind Oso would solidify our defensive line. Are there any final cut candidate names you have your eye on? I haven't seen a bunch of good options that are out there. Somebody might get cut, but I think 3 technique is harder to find than 1 technique. It's because, pass rushing from the interior is super, super valuable. Maybe somebody gets cut. I'll keep my eye out, but I don't see any obvious, that guy's going to get cut names that would interest me. No, somebody probably will, but we'll have to wait and see. From Tyler, in a perfect scenario where Dallas drafts a new QB, which QB in the 2025 class or beyond would be the best fit in Dallas? Someone's got to impress me. I think Carson Beck probably has the narrow edge over Shadur Sanders and Quinn Ewers for QB1, but those guys got work to do. All 3 of them do. Arch Manning might be great. I don't know how good he is. He's played 8 snaps. So checking again in 4 months. And I'll have a better answer for you. But especially for 2025, the really good guy, if one of those guys impressed, let's say Shadur Sanders is a balls out, looks awesome at Colorado, or Carson Beck does it, or Quinn Ewers does it, or somebody else ends up emerging, that guy's going to go top 5, top 10. So how am I getting a top 5, top 10 pick without then depleting my roster to go get the QB when I could have just kept the roster and paid my current one. Like that's like kind of why I was mad with the process this offseason, because if you wanted that guy, you should have tanked now. Because trying to do the day 2, day 3 picks mindset hits or misses a hell of a lot more than it hits. That's why I don't like where they're at QB-wise. From Travis, is OT a sneaky need now for Dallas? And if so, who are the targets? I think they kind of want to see how awesome Richards looks as the swing tackle. He might play left tackle and right tackle in this preseason game. At least going to get a lot of run at left tackle. But yeah, I think it kind of is a sneaky need. Just to get through the preseason. That's why they signed Cole Cabral, who no one had ever heard of. The issue is, good swing tackles don't become available very often because, teams need those guys. And there's not enough of them in the NFL. So what position do you think the Cowboys are more likely to get help at? We're not including Cole Cabral at offensive tackle here, though. OT or running back. So OT for offensive tackle, RB for running back. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Buffalo Black, what are the expectations for Zeke this year? I suppose it depends on who you ask. My expectations are this. I want him to be efficient in short yardage. I am going to pay less attention to the average yards per carry and more to the success rate for Ezekiel Elliott, because I think that's going to be his ideal role, is finish off drives in the red zone, get the short yardage stuff, still turn 1-yard gains into 3-yard gains, etc. I would love to get some explosive plays, but I don't know how real it is at this point in his NFL career. Don't be a liability in pass protection, which I think is for many backs just the bar to clear there. There's been 3 times in camp on read options or straight up handoffs that Zeke's fumbled, so stop that, which I think is a pretty easy bar to clear. And I don't want to overwork him at this point in his career. If he's getting 200 touches, I think something bad happened, or it was bad decision making, because I don't think there's a realistic expectation of him winding back the clock and looking like 2016 Zeke. That's not going to happen. But if he can be efficient and he can get what I need to get in short yardage, that is a win for me. From Daniel, I don't just want to get old Miles Sanders. He's close to being washed up. Would Javonte Williams from the Broncos be available? Maybe he makes sense for Dallas. He's not going to be available. He's going to be Denver's number 1 back. I know there were some meters maybe it's Samaje Perine or Javonte Williams. And I thought that narrative was funny. There's one spot for Javonte Williams or Samaje Perine. Who knows who it's going to go to? Obviously, the better running back is Javonte Williams. What are we doing out there, Denver? Perine's going to end up in Cincinnati as the 3rd back again. Watch, or the 4th back. Javonte's not available, I don't think. And after that, you go from there. From King Rizak, do we target a top back in next year's draft? I love Donovan Edwards, Ollie Gordon. Is that a possibility for us? Yeah, I think it is. Gonna have Trayvon Henderson out of Ohio State. Gonna have Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State. Gonna have Quinshon Junkins out of Ohio State. It's a really promising running back class in that late round 1, round 2 range. I think you can definitely find somebody in that grouping.